Oh, Tony's here.
We're back. Oh, here we go. Today we have Anthony with us, guys.
Who's
Our
that?
former guest, Anthony. He's a former deacon of the WMSCOG, and he's been with us a few times on the episodes. And we're gonna have a fun interview with him today. Hi,
I
Anthony.
hope it's fun. I'm kind of boring, but I hope it turns out okay.
Anthony, you might be our top reoccurring guest, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm in it for the fame and fortune. So whenever that fortune comes in, let me know.
For sure. You'll be the first to know. And I would definitely not describe you as boring. That is the least thing that I would ever say. Okay, so today I'm hoping that we can have a little bit of fun. As we know, this is a serious topic. And I just want to straight out say that in this episode, we are not making fun of anybody. Like, me and Anthony have been there. So we are not judging anybody, making fun of anybody. We've literally been there. We're kind of making fun of ourselves, if anything else. And so we're just going to, just have a fun time today. Sound good, guys?
I wanted to cry today. Come on. No.
I'm sure we'll make you cry again. You guys, I have no idea what's coming. Toni and Anthony have set up this whole secret thing, and they're surprise attacking me today.
Yeah, well, one of the things that, I would say, like the kind of concept about this, I mean, okay, now we're going to get into the serious part before we get into the more fun part. But the serious aspect of it is, when you join this group, one of the things that they kind of tell you and teach you is that everything that you knew before is a lie. Like, you have like everything before in the world, your whole view of the way that the world is, it was wrong. And now what they teach you is the true reality. So your concept of what's real and what's not real is completely skewed through this group because they completely deconstruct your concept of reality and they rebuild it. And one of the things that they use are the words. They create words, or they take words that you have known and they give it a new meaning. Like, the power of words is like unbelievably strong. So, for instance, like an example I could use is like the color blue. For a long time, they didn't have the color blue in vocabulary. Like, people didn't have this word. And because of that, a lot of people couldn't even see the color blue until they gave a word for it. Because until this like word was created, it was hard for them to distinguish. It was more of like a green. Even a lot of, not a lot, but there are still some groups and cultures that they don't have the word for blue, but they have multiple words for green. So if you show to them a bunch of green dots and a blue dot, they won't be able to distinguish most times what's the blue, like which one's different. But for us, we're so used to generalizing the color green, but in their culture, they have multiple levels of green, so they could distinguish even a green that's just a little bit lighter. They'd be able to, see a big difference because they have words for it. So the power of words is actually really big. So the church, when they take your words and they hijack it and they give it new meanings, it's completely changing your sense of the world around you. So, I noticed this on a previous episode where I think someone was talking about a pastor, and he's like, yeah, he pulled out the sword, he pulled out the sharp sword, and Lindsey was like, oh, what? Like, is that like an intimidation tactic? But the actual meaning of,
like, imagining a real sword, right? Like a samurai.
Yeah, and I remember like Chad laughing about it. I remember Chad being like, he took out like a samurai sword in the middle of like the Bible study. But at that moment, I was thinking, like, for me, one of the big things that has helped me move on is to not use the terminology that the church taught me, but rather just to explain things for what they really are. But it's kind of funny because I'm interested to see from an outsider's perspective, meaning Lindsey, the one who is never cool enough to be in a cult, exactly what it sounds like to you. And then we'll kind of reveal the truth of like what it meant to the Church of God.
Ooh,
But Anthony, I think it's interesting because in a way, me and you are going to kind of be deprogramming those words, right? We're going to
Yes,
be thinking like, no, that word does not have that power anymore. And this is what it means to me now. So I think that's also going to be really powerful for all of us to do because once you get those concepts in your head, they're hard to get rid of.
exactly. Yeah.
actually, this came up in our last interview, Toni, with the no worries.
Did you guys say no worries, Anthony?
Did we
In,
say no worries?
no worries.
A little bit. I think at one point, it was more of the. I remember the pastor doing the. Don't worry, be
Be
happy.
happy. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that was a fond
It's
recollection.
definitely a reoccurring theme among all the different churches.
Yeah,
No
don't
worries.
worry, go preaching,
Right?
give us money.
Yeah, that's like the more honest version there.
It's like suck it up. Don't feel any feelings.
So turn it off like a light. So it's
Switch.
it's a cool little WMSCOG trick. This song on your last episode,
Oh
Anthony.
my gosh.
Yeah.
So
So I was. Do you want to just dive into some of these terms?
yeah, so we're just going to go through the language. And like I said, we're not making fun of anybody. We're just like, we're just going through these words have a lot of meaning to us. So let's see, Lindsay, what you think. Anthony,
Okay, but to be fair though, I have been like following your church for 12 years.
I think you'll do pretty well, actually. I don't think you'll be too surprised.
Ooh,
How much knowledge I have of the church.
that's true. That is very true. I think that
So it's
maybe you have a leg up onto some of the
Okay, can I start with an easy one?
Okay.
Okay, GBY.
Ooh. GBY. Oh, I've seen this.
BY. It's like the most common thing that we would always say to each other.
Got.
Okay.
Wait.
The G. What at this church would
God
begin with
bless
G?
you. God.
There you go. Ding, 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 ding.
What does that mean to you?
Yeah, what does that mean to you?
Well, okay, a normal person, it would mean God bless you, you just sneezed. In your church, it's like the weird way that everybody greets each other every time you walk into a room. God bless you, sister. That's what I think of.
God bless you means everything. It reminds me of
aloha.
Yes, aloha in Hawaii, how it just means like hello, goodbye, hello, goodbye.
But it also means like thank you.
Right.
Like let's just say somebody like, I was going to use the word served you. Is that normal? I feel like it's kind of like a mix. But someone gave you something, you wouldn't say thank you. You would say God bless you.
God bless you, brother.
Say GBY. Would you say God bless you, or would you say GBY?
That's shorthand in text.
GBY is the text version,
Okay,
which I hated.
That's what I've seen. That's where I've seen it on like Instagram.
Right.
Over and over again. And I think I had to stare at it when I saw it, and I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
Well, I actually had programmed my phone whenever I wrote GBY that it would instantly turn to God bless you with like an exclamation point at the end. So that was my like shorthand way to like spell it out.
That's hilarious. I spelled it out every time because I felt like it was so lazy to just say GBY. And I was like, I'm better than that. I'm going to spell the whole thing out.
So
stupid.
It was like aloha. It was like the hello. It was like goodbye. Oh, God bless you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Then
he's waving his hands for people that can see. God bless you so much.
Yeah, like someone like hands you, oh, God bless you. Like it was always used for that. It was also used as kind of like when you were like a little irritated with somebody. Like it was like a dismissal as well. Like you could use it like, okay, God bless you.
Like meeting's over, God bless you.
Yeah.
Right.
It was used in a bunch of different ways. But the way it was used for thank you, you would never really be able to say thank you. And if you ever slipped, if you ever said thank you to somebody, what did the response need to be, Toni?
Thanks to Father and Mother.
You can never accept thanks. You can never have done anything for
No,
anything.
brother. Thanks to Father and Mother. Only thanks to Father and Mother.
Yeah. Oh, not me. No, I didn't spend the last couple of hours cooking for you. It was Father and Mother all the way.
Yep,
You can never
exactly.
take that. Like if something went good, it was thanks to Father and Mother. But if something went bad, I'm a sinner.
Yeah, true.
Oh my gosh, that's so. You just see how quickly that could like change your whole mindset.
Yeah,
Oh,
you can never do anything good.
Because you're in that constant loop with each other. You're never having a real conversation. You're just, thank you, God bless you. No thanks to Father and Mother. God bless you. No thanks to Father and Mother. Like that. Amen.
Toni, I think there was a point. I think I remember just saying this. You saying God bless you, sister and brother. I think I was jealous for a little bit because I was like, I'm her real sister, bitches.
Yeah.
And she would never be able to say God bless you, sister, to you.
Yeah.
I'll never.
Because you're never baptized.
Yeah. God bless you, sinner.
Yeah.
All right, Anthony, what do you got? Let's hear one of yours.
Okay. Fast.
Quick. No, I'm just kidding. Am I doing like what is that?
What comes to mind? Fast.
Yeah.
She probably knows about this.
I already know. Fasting, like fast, like not eating and drinking water and eating baby puke.
Okay, eating baby puke is not part of the fast, but
that's for Passover.
Sorry. It was definitely, there were required fasts. So when you would hear fast, sometimes before a big feast, or a big a big celebration or a big like day that they celebrate, it would be 3 days of no food, no water. And they used to make the whole church do it, but I guess eventually it was exposed, so they started to hide it, and now they don't make people do it. But now people do it on their own, just or in small groups. But previously it was like the whole church was told no food or no water. And then the thing is, after you had this fast, you had to eat mush. Like they would boil rice, and they called it porridge. And they would just basically like boil rice and add more water until it was like this blob of rice. And honestly, I used to love it.
Yeah.
Not because it tasted good, because it meant like I was able to eat. And they'd add like soy sauce and sesame oil. And it was like the greatest thing, because after 3 days of starving and your breath, oh my God, it was the worst. Like having to like not eat and not drink. Some members didn't know that they were able to brush their teeth.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. And like your body starts doing weird things after, even after 1 day of no water, your body starts to do kind of weird things. And you're not really allowed to show anybody that you're fasting, because that would be like praising yourself or, giving attention to. But you still need to go preaching. You still need to be teaching the Bible. You still have to be doing all this stuff.
What's the human limit on no water?
I think it's like 5 days or something.
I don't know, but they always said that the leader of the church would fast for like 10 days. Didn't you always hear that, Anthony?
No, I never heard that one.
You never heard that she fasted 7 or 10 days?
The leader of the church. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's what I thought you meant, like the one at like I'm like, I was a leader of a church, and
no.
You mean God leader?
But she's still kind of like pudgy looking.
It's true. That lady's not fasting.
Yeah.
Well,
she's fine.
I don't know, but that was what we were told. We were told that she did these endless fasts, and she was so sick and so hungry. So it made it easier for us.
When you hear fasting, you think of not eating food, but you definitely don't think of not drinking water.
Right.
That's not good. I mean, it's not good to fast, but then like eliminating water too, it's very bad for you.
Okay. Anthony, this was on your list. Can I say it?
Go on.
And you're also going to have to remind me, you're kind of fresher out than me, so this is kind of fun. Baby prostitute.
Oh, okay.
Is this from Revelation?
Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, I had this one later on. That was going to be a big expose.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When you hear baby prostitute, what do you think about, Lindsey?
Oh my God, I don't even want to think about that. Why would we ever say those two words together?
Well,
So this is during a study called Daniel's prophecy when you get into the book of Revelation.
Okay.
But they talk about the great prostitute, meaning the Catholic Church. But then the baby prostitutes are all the Protestant churches. So any Sunday keeping church was known as a baby prostitute. So in a study with like new people, we as members didn't always realize, but we would say, and what about, those? What are the baby prostitutes? If a prostitute has babies, they're baby prostitutes. So it was our way of explaining about Protestant churches.
Oh
So
my God.
I remember one day I was sitting there, and this is probably like 9 years into being in the church. All of a sudden, I was studying Daniel's prophecy, and somebody was saying, and oh yeah, what are these? They're baby prostitutes. And I'm like, in any other circle, saying baby prostitute might be kind of weird, but only in the WMSCOG.
Oh gosh.
that's hilarious. Oh my God, I am having flashbacks. Anthony, stop it. You're giving me these flashbacks of like my drawing of like the Catholic Church is like the main prostitute, and then there's like all these little baby prostitutes.
You have
Pentecostal,
drawings.
baby prostitute. Methodist,
Pentecost.
baby prostitute.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I
Okay.
never thought that was weird until then.
I
That was so funny.
didn't either until my mind was slowly leaving the church. I'm like, wait a second.
Doesn't everybody know these baby
I think
prostitutes?
it's legal to draw a cartoon version of this.
Okay, no, but this is for real though. Like we were terrified of those churches. Actually, the other day I was driving with my grandma, okay? And my grandma says, I remember when we used to ride around with your son and he would get so scared of all the churches down the street. And he would say, that's Babylon, which could go into another one, right?
Yeah. Oh man, do I have to cross Babylon off my list?
Tell me, Lindsey,
I
do you know
what
Babylon?
is. My nephew used to say it all the time. I
All the
remember
time,
it.
like terrified.
He really was. I know what Babylon is, but
Babylon is used in a lot of cults. The term Babylon, the idea of Babylon, right? Because they sort of use it the same way that WMSCOG did.
Huh.
As far as like Babylon is the place where like God's people are trapped.
Yes.
Because I'm a big Bob Marley fan, and there's a lot of references to Babylon and like getting out of Babylon.
Yeah, I didn't know that other places used it in kind of in the same way, but I can imagine. I mean, there's a lot of parallels and similarities between the WMSCOG and these other cult groups. So I'm going to cross Babylon off the list because we hit it. What about this one, Lindsey? What about a lawkeeper?
ooh, a lawkeeper. I've overheard this saying before via the podcast, but I imagine just like a bootlicker.
What?
Like a suck up? Like somebody who's
Like someone who's like following the law, like looking out their window, calling the cops when someone parks in the wrong.
Do you think it's good or bad?
I think it's good. I think it's annoying. A Karen.
Okay. In the church, if someone was a lawkeeper, would that be a good thing or a bad thing?
A lawkeeper? I would imagine is a good thing.
Wrong.
Oh,
What?
Tell her what a lawkeeper is, Tone.
a lawkeeper is somebody who just keeps the laws of God. Okay, what's the word I'm looking for, Anthony?
Okay, they're doing the bare minimum.
Bare minimum, but
It's like-
legalistic. They're legalistic. Like I'm keeping every single Sabbath. I'm keeping every service. I'm keeping every tithe. I'm doing every single thing that I do. I'm even going preaching 3 times a week. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I can go to heaven if it's not like with all my heart and with all my mind. That was my understanding. What do you
Okay,
think,
yeah.
Anthony? That's like the deepest level.
Yeah, lawkeeper is the one who's just trying to do the bare minimum, like whatever. They're not doing anything from their heart, anything extra. They're doing whatever they're told is like the bare minimum. So usually in a lot of situations, it's just the one who's just keeping service and tithing, and that's it. Like, you want me to go to this cleanup? No. You want me to do this extra thing? No. But what I'm going to do is just what I need to do to get to heaven. That's it. No more, no less. That's a lot.
Anthony, did you feel like, though, even among the church leaders, like the little meetings that we would have, that we would also could be accused of being law keepers? Do you know what I mean? Like,
You guys like say it at each other, like you're being a keeper right now.
You wouldn't call a law keeper. That's more of like when you're talking about somebody who's not really like all there with it. You know what I mean?
Like when you're talking about somebody else, like they're being a law keeper.
Yeah. If someone's just a law keeper, it's not somebody that you really feel comfortable enough to tell them that they're a law keeper. It's the one that like is like already just barely holding on by dedicating hours and, you know, revenue to the organization, but they're still not good. But you're not going to tell them they're not good. You're just going to be like, well, you know, God's the judge, but, you know, if it were up to me.
That is so awful because it just sets us up for failure.
Yes.
That is not true. Let's get that out of our heads.
And it sets you up for competition with each other because you never would want to be considered that.
That was actually a really big motivation in the church, was competition. It was, you know, who's doing more, who's able to, you know, and you looked at other people as rivals in some aspects because you always wanted to be the one who dedicated a little bit more, did a little bit more for the church. So yeah, there's definitely rivalry, but they set up competitions all the time. They did pit us against each other in a way because they wanted us to compete to do more. And that's why they always had a movement. Like, it ended up being like every other month was like a new movement, like this new thing that we were put. And it was just like, how many movements we're going to have? Like every month is a new movement. Every quarter, it's just, you know, constantly.
What kind of movements did you guys had? I know we had the 10 talent movement, and that was like pretty big all over the place.
There were like a bunch of different like random titles. Like Run with Mother was the.
You guys had a lot of slogans out there. I remember you guys did something with autism. Didn't you guys do a big autism thing?
I'm sure that the propaganda videos made it look like it was a lot bigger than it was, but we just went to an autism walk.
Oh man, they made a huge video out of that one. Okay, that's hilarious. Because they always say, we don't preach to homeless people. Do you know how many freaking homeless drives we had in Denver? We did like sock drives for the homeless. We did so much stuff for homeless people here. But preach to them? No, we will not preach to them.
Yeah.
We'll give them some socks.
Collect coats, but don't give them to them.
Yeah. All right, Anthony, what else you got?
All right, let's move on. What is a caretaker?
Ooh. I don't think I don't
really know this one either, Anthony. I don't know what you're talking about.
I would
really
like this specific word. I don't know.
Okay, maybe there are some terms that might be a little regional, but a caretaker is the person who's assigned to be the handler of somebody else. So if you're the caretaker of a person, that means like you're the one scheduling their Bible studies, checking in with them, becoming their friend. It means like you're watching them like at all times. Like if they're sitting by themselves, no, you're the caretaker. You're going to go and sit with them. You're going to invite them to all, like, you're basically pretending to be their buddy in order to make them comfortable. And I mean, you do it genuinely, but you're doing it because you're assigned to. So to be a caretaker is when you're assigned to monitor.
And you don't get to pick your members. We just called them members.
Yeah.
Do they get considered as like a percentage of your fruit to get you to heaven? Do you get a percentage of that fruit, or this is different?
No. This is another term we're going to get to next. What is a blessing, Lindsey?
Ooh, I know this one. I'll say what I imagine other people that don't know so much about this church that is probably not healthy to what I think it means or what I know it means.
Blessing?
Yeah. Blessing is like, I'm so blessed. Outside of anybody who knows this church. But a blessing in the church is getting some kind of shitty job and then getting it called a blessing.
Yeah. It's free labor.
Yeah, free labor. Your work assignment.
Anthony, have you seen the new videos of the James Webb telescope? Have you seen of outer space?
When I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, the Church of God is going to be all over this.
So whenever I would hear blessings, that's what I would think. I would think about the galaxies and the stars and the planets that we were going to inherit, because they did a lot of propaganda about that, and like videos and plays and everything about outer space and how that's what we were going to inherit, and those were going to be our blessings. So that was what I always imagined.
Yeah, so a blessing was like when you like I was mentioning, like free labor you would do. So if you had an assignment like at the church, that's your blessing. If you had to overcome sort of a difficulty, if you had to give money, if there's anything that you did for the church, cleaning up, anything was considered a blessing. And why do you need blessings? Like I believe I talked about them the last time, but it was like almost like a currency. Like, you have so many sins and that's going to cost you, but these blessings help cover that up. So, if you have enough blessings, it will cover up your sins. You can get into heaven, and then the additional blessings will be used toward gaining your star, gaining your whatever.
Toni,
that's what I was always focused on. I was always on the reward. So I was like, I can do anything just to get to that nebula star. Like, we even knew the names of them and everything, right, Anthony? Like, we would watch hours and hours of General Passer talking about, like, this star is this far away and this far, right?
Damn, that's crazy. That's so connected with the Heaven's Gate cult.
I mean, there's actually a lot of cults that incorporate the universe and outer space into their beliefs.
Yeah. Toni, really quick while we're on that topic of imagining yourself up on your star.
Yeah.
Can you just tell everybody what you were imagining it would be filled with?
You want me to share that with the whole world?
Yeah, it's so
okay. Okay, I will. Do you guys want to know what my heaven was going to be like? Well, it's very simple, but I was going to have an artichoke garden, and in my artichoke garden is a massive library, and I'm just going to eat artichokes for eternity and read books.
So Toni, in this planet that you're going to create with your 5-mile long wings, as
yes,
you're going to eat artichokes when you could be eating colors. Yeah, that's what they would teach us. We could eat.
No, my
colors.
Artichokes were different colors.
Laughing, but...
I know. We would talk about this for hours, Lindsey. We would stay up late and we would talk about like what we wanted in heaven and like, who was going to be allowed to go to your heaven and who couldn't.
Was I just automatically out?
Well, unless you came and got baptized.
That's so funny. This is like conversion.
Yeah.
You could. It's all made up in your
ready
head.
to let you burn. Toni made peace with it.
Yeah. I'm just eating my artichokes.
Because you're not really her sister.
Yeah.
They would teach that. Dude. Only in the shadow. Oh, I didn't use that one. I didn't write that one down.
Shadow and reality. Let's say that one. Lindsey, do you know what that means? Shadow and reality?
I think I do. It's like the shadow version of when you sinned against God in heaven before you were kicked to earth. No?
Nope.
Boo, dang.
Boo. Stone her. Do you remember that?
That way you would shout at people.
Toni's already stoned.
Oh my God. So this is like, oh God, this is making me so angry. I'm actually really glad we're doing this. This is helping me because it's so infuriating, because just by this shadow and reality, like, it explains their whole entire doctrine and the whole entire way that they mess up your mind. Right?
Yeah, and I'm surprised I didn't even write it down.
Oh God. It's like, okay.
Tell me.
Do you want to explain it? You want me to?
I'll let you go. I'll let you go for this one.
This is how I would explain it when I was teaching. Okay, there was a whole study about it. So this is heaven, and this is earth. And okay, I'm sorry, I'm using my hand. This is a podcast, okay? And this is a podcast.
And this is a podcast.
Well, then how am I going to explain a shadow to a podcast?
Imagine two hands, one above the other.
Imagine a hand, imagine a shadow, okay? The hand is heaven. The shadow is earth, okay? Can you touch a shadow? I would always ask them. Can you feel a shadow? A shadow isn't real. It's just a shadow. The real thing is your hand. So that means our reality is in heaven, and then the earth is just a shadow, but it's exactly the same. Like you'd be like, how many fingers does the hand have? 5. So then how many does a shadow have? 5. Because it's exactly the same. So that's why on the earth, there's a father and a mother and babies. So in heaven, there must be a father, a mother, and babies. And then it's the way that they can make every single thing spiritual, because they say everything on the earth is just a shadow of what's in heaven. So everything is spiritual, everything. Right,
Yeah.
Anthony? How did I do?
Dangerous. That is a dangerous mindset.
Yeah, no, it's true. And then everything on this earth, though, everything that you feel like attachment toward, it's actually like really superficial and stupid for you to have any sort of feeling. So, okay, Lindsey, you love Toni, right? She's your sister. You guys have such a close bond, but really that's the shadow. That's like a poopy sister. That doesn't mean anything. What you really need to focus on is your reality sisters. Those are the ones who will be with you forever. Those are the ones at your church. So those are your real sisters.
And even more is your parents. They always get you with your parents. I'm so sorry, mom and dad. Like they would always be like like they emphasize the physical father, only that they could just talk about the spiritual father. So your physical father, your physical mother are not real.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's like a shadow. The only reason why, your mother actually loves you is so that you can understand like a little bit about the way that Zangilja really loves you. So like whatever your mom feels towards you, it's as real as a shadow. But the emotion that, this woman in Korea who doesn't know your name, the way that she feels about you, oh my goodness, Lindsey, you have no idea.
That's
crazy. That's one of the easy ways that they start to break you down and help you leave your family and feel like no remorse about it. It's because, oh yeah, like as much as I care about them, it really doesn't mean anything because that's just a shadow.
And that's one of the first studies. I would say that's probably one of the first 5 studies that you would do to understand the real spiritual world, the real spiritual family. Not this shadow. This is just a prison. This is just the shadow. If this is the shadow, if this is how beautiful the shadow is, imagine how beautiful the reality is in heaven. It's so much better. So just work away now, just for a short amount of time, so that you can gain all that for eternity.
All those artichokes.
All those artichokes
I was working for. Hey, what about the books? Don't forget the books.
Oh, and the books, yeah. What I think is so sweet about that, Toni, is that you like truly could just turn your basement into that exact same thing, and you would just do any of the fucking shit to get to heaven.
Well, I didn't know that when I was in my 20s.
No, I know, but that's why I think it's so beautiful. Is your heaven concept is so attainable on earth.
Are you saying I should shoot higher?
I know, it's just such a sweet. I just love that. Like when you told me that, like my heart was just like, I love you so much. It's like the sweetest version. Like your biggest request from the entire universe is just so attainable.
I want a bunch of books. There's like a public library, like
With some
down the block.
pot growing. Oh, it's so cute.
Oh
So
my gosh.
And maybe instead of donating like the cans of food that you'd give to all the members and stuff like that to cook, you could just buy yourself a bunch of artichokes.
exactly. $100,000 would definitely
I
build
know. Damn. I could have had that a long time ago.
his artichoke jungle library.
That's hilarious. All right. Okay. Okay. Anthony, what else you got?
Okay. So what about this one? I'm gonna remove the word prostitute and just say the word baby.
That's good. Thank you. I'm much more comfortable with that.
Baby. Are you talking about Solomon's baby?
No, I'm just talking about
Like spiritual baby?
yes.
Yeah. Spiritual baby is, probably what you call people who just come in. Like your spiritual baby.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody who just came in, but they don't really know the rules yet. They don't really know how to fall in line. So they're a spiritual baby.
You have to teach them everything.
Yeah, they have to be really hooked. Like they don't have to just be brainwashed. They have to be like super brainwashed.
Yeah, extra brainwashy.
Yeah, that's
that extra little reminder.
Anthony, how many times did you have to talk about they need milk, not solid food? I mean, besides the Melchizedek study, but that, to explain about babies, there was this whole thing that we had to think about and consider, like how you would treat a baby is the same way that you should treat a newcomer. Like as soon as they're baptized, they're considered a baby.
Yeah,
you have to literally treat them like a baby, but in a spiritual way.
Every 4 hours.
Yeah.
Did you guys celebrate your baptism as your birthday?
Yes.
Yeah, like we would know that it was our spiritual birthday. We would be like, oh, it's my,
okay, yeah.
Oh, so humble, but not
celebrate
really.
is a different.
Right. Like, how do you define celebrate?
Yeah, no, we would definitely
Acknowledge
it as like a day, but it would be like our actual regular birthday was treated the same. Like we're not gonna do anything. Right. Most of my birthdays I was like out preaching.
Right.
Like I felt like, okay. I remember my first birthday where I just went preaching. Like my first birthday in the church. I was there for like a few months and I was just like, okay, like it's your birthday, but nobody knows and nobody said anything to you and it's not important to anybody, but just go preaching and you go to heaven. And like that was my birthday. And I remember being like, like I can't keep anything. Like I can't keep any sort of holiday. I can't keep like it was just like everything was being removed, even a birthday, So
yeah, I think now we should celebrate our birthdays with a bang every single year, Anthony, because of all those years that we missed. Don't you think?
I agree.
Yeah.
I remember I had one birthday so far and I had just left.
Oh.
I had like 2 weeks before.
Mm.
And it was very like weird. It was very like, like I didn't know how to act. I was over at my family's and they didn't really know what was going on with me.
Oh, they didn't know or you didn't know?
Both. I didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do. I was just trying to go with the flow, but it was very uncomfortable. It was like I'm already like feeling really weird because like I stopped attending this cult and it was my whole life, like everything. And then like here I am trying to like celebrate my birthday, and I drove out to like visit family and everything, and it was just like, what do I do? How do I celebrate this? It's just it didn't compute for me because I was a little rusty.
Yeah, and you were in shock.
Toni was a little like awkward at family functions for a while.
Yeah,
because she was, she just didn't know how it goes. And you forget when you've been doing it the whole time that it would be weird to come back into it like 12 years later and like try to just start celebrating again.
Okay, I got one for Lindsey. All right. This is more of like the definition. If somebody came to you and they told you about something you weren't really doing correctly, like
hold on. Are we recording?
Yeah.
Okay, mine says 000.
Ooh.
So that's why I was just like, that looks different. And I just
Let's
wanted
all
to-
prepare for this to not have been recorded.
All right. So this one I wanted to ask about. Which one was I going to do?
I know.
Sorry.
I lost the spot.
You were gonna do rebuking.
Oh, Tony.
No,
I was
I
giving the
heard-
definition.
I
was
said it. I said rebuking.
Oh,
didn't say that.
Lindsey said it.
Good at this shit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tony got
Good
yelled
Like,
at.
job,
why are you
Lindsey.
yelling at me?
That's Lindsey. That's exactly the answer. A rebuke. Now,
He just
normally-
rebuked you in the rebuke.
yeah.
Wait, sorry.
Good job. Good job. A round of applause. You knew what a rebuke was because most people would call it a criticism.
Yeah.
And it's really, really funny because like the members, especially like there was a lot of members who were, ESL, like they were figuring out English and they were learning a lot of it in the church. So I remember this like one member who was like, I was at work and I made a mistake and my boss, he rebuked me. And then like people don't really use that word out in the world.
Okay,
You humiliate you is what you meant to say.
let me read you guys. I have my Webster's thesaurus from this moment on, Anthony.
Okay.
I will no longer use the word rebuke because it's stupid. Okay, so other words for rebuke are condemnation, denunciation, reprimand, reproach, reproof, stricture, citation, commendation, endorsement, reprove, admonish, chide, reprimand, and reproach. Those are all great options.
Reprimand. That's a nice
Yes.
one. I was denounced.
Reprimand is a good one, but humiliated also is what it feels like.
Yes, that's definitely the feeling you get. All right, Lindsey, how about fragrance?
Ooh, I know this one, I think. But let me tell you, most people would think fragrance like, you're going around smelling the perfumes. You're just sniffing stuff.
Yeah,
But I'm pretty sure that it means when you get up and you share your innermost private secrets in front of a room of people. Is that a fragrance? Or am I mixing it up with something?
I mean, you're right on both ways.
yes.
Mix them all together because they use the fragrance of smelling, like something sweet smelling. And so by us getting up and sharing our stories, we're sharing. How do I explain it, Anthony?
So it's kind of like this.
Yeah,
When
explain this shit.
the way that a smell kind of like fills a room and like people can like receive this sort of sense.
Yeah.
In the same way, when you get up and you share something that's beautiful and encouraging, it's like this invisible thing that everyone's able to like have
Be
in their
motivated.
environment and to feel and to receive and to, it's a way to share. And it's almost just like, you get up and like in other groups, like the Mormons, I think they call it like a testimony. People get up and they share like basically something that they realized. And then, if it's a good thing that helps people, it's a beautiful fragrance, like a beautiful, but however, if you get up and the pastor didn't like what you said, they call it the fragrance of death. And sometimes after people would give, like sometimes like people would go up there and be like, look, I went and I saw this person and I preached to them and they didn't receive. But I realized how like lucky and thankful I am to Father and Mother because I was able to realize. And then, the pastor would get up and he might be like, that was stupid. Get up here and you tell about when you bore fruit. Don't get up here to say how you didn't bear fruit. He's like, that was a fragrance of death.
Really?
Yeah.
I never heard of a fragrance of death.
Oh, maybe that's an East Coast,
Dang.
The East Coast is always more cutthroat in like every.
All right.
We knew
Well,
that, though. We knew
let-
that. The East Coast had a reputation for being the most blessed, but it's actually because they were being the most abused.
abused.
I know.
See, that's a blessing, right? There we go. We go back to the word blessing.
Yeah,
When-
blessing equals abuse.
Yeah, when you're abused and like you just deal with it and you go on with no worries, you're blessed.
It's all connected.
So these are all bricks to the same house.
Oh man.
All right, so we got fragrance. Okay, now what if someone said, "Oh, that person's worldly," and if you were a regular average Joanne out in the world,
This
what
is a
would you-
really common word. We said this all the time. Worldly. Don't be
I-
worldly.
I think it
Oh,
just
sorry.
means, yeah, I think it just means like they're not following the church. They're
But
not
if
wearing
you-
the
what
person.
would the word normally mean? If that person's worldly.
Oh,
Oh,
is that even a word? Is that even a word? Worldly?
yeah, normally it would be like that person's been like traveling, they're worldly.
They have
Okay,
they're
okay.
cultured, you know that.
They
Yeah,
got a culture.
Yeah, if that person's worldly, they've traveled, they got all these
I
different
never
skills.
think of it like that, but from now on I will.
From now on, let's take it back.
Take it back.
Yeah,
My
worldly is like-
aspirations is to be worldly.
It's all
All right. Gangrene.
Ooh. I think I know this one. It's when like a bad thought or a bad member and you got to cut them off so they don't kill everybody. Is
That's
that it?
actually really, really good. Now, normally gangrene is like a disease, I think a skin disease.
Yeah.
But gangrene in the church, if you say, "Oh, that person is gangrene," it means that, like, you're right, they need to be cut out. Like this person's, maybe they have a criticism of the church. Maybe they're, free thinking, and maybe they have some sort of doubt. Now they're gonna get like cut out of the regular group. They're gonna be separated
Before they
because like gangrene, like if you have it, like you have to like cut it off. Like you don't want it to spread. So if a person is having bad thoughts or is like being troubled about the doctrine of the church or the methods of the church, it's like, don't let them talk to other people. Like you got to cut them out. You got to separate them. And that's why when members leave, they're like gangrene, because their thoughts against the church, well, that could spread. Yeah, so if you're gangrene, you have to get cut out. So they want you to be completely separated from the rest of the members because you might spread.
That
You're-
sounds so disgusting too. Gangrene just sounds disgusting. Like you don't want anything to do with it. Of course they don't want to talk to us.
Isn't there another like Bible study about the yeast infecting the bag of yeast?
Right.
What is
Right. Just a little bit of yeast can infect the whole batch, right, Anthony?
Yes.
Or something like that. Yeah.
that? Yeah, so it's like the same thing, like a little.
Mm.
That's like that's the implication to shun people. Is that kind
Right.
of the idea of like
Yeah.
when they leave, don't talk to them because they're gonna
Yeah.
spread.
As soon as they have like a negative thought about the church, get them away from everybody else because you have to contain it. Like, free thought, might spread. You want everyone. Oh, and this will lead us to the next one. Your own mind. Using your own mind, Lindsey.
Yeah.
Good thing or a bad thing?
I know what it is. In the church, it's bad. In a normal person's mind, it's normal and good.
Yeah. Using your own mind was discouraged because
God, like you would be so you'd be so reprimanded if you used your own mind. Like, what kind of mind do you have? You need to have father and mother's mind, not your own mind. You have a sinner's mind. What good can come from your mind? Nothing but sinful thoughts.
yeah, if your mind was so good, it wouldn't have got kicked out of heaven.
Right. So you can't trust anything that you think.
Yeah, your mind, your thoughts is just trying to lead you straight to hell.
So if
That's
you
why-
start thinking, you need to read the Bible
Yeah, or
or pray.
yeah, or the next term, truth book.
I mean, I would assume the truth book is the Bible.
Nope.
Nope.
You would assume, right?
No, but there are excerpts of the Bible. So a truth book is anything that was written by An Sang Hong, except the books that they've removed or the chapters that they've removed. So there are
translated them and they realized that they say other things that go against what they teach.
Yeah, so they're like, okay, we have to like explain away these books because even though he's supposedly, the second coming of Christ, you have to like not read everything that second coming of Christ said because some of the stuff he wrote, but you shouldn't really listen to because it goes against what we teach now because he only meant it for like a minute. But after that minute was over, he didn't mean it anymore. But he never said that he was going to correct it. He never, it's just, it's this crazy like nonsense that they explain. But when you're in the church, you just like, if they give an excuse as stupid as the excuse is, you're like, okay, it's explained. And like, that's it. Like, that's all you need is an explanation. Not even a good one. Not even a logical one. You're just like, okay, they mentioned it.
Right. When you say truth book, though, for some reason, I just automatically think of the green book.
Yeah, I do
Green
too.
book. You know what that means, Lindsay? The green book. Like that's what we would always call it, the green book. Make sure everybody brings their green book.
Do you know it like the green?
Oh, yep, there it is.
Oh, I thought you meant
it's
like,
actually green.
I'm thinking of the green book that African Americans would use that would tell where they were African American friendly when they would travel across the country. I think that's what they would call that book. It would say like you can stay at this hotel. They allow African Americans, and it was like a green book that they would have.
Never heard of that. I've only heard of the
green book.
I'm mixing it up, but that's what I think of when you say truth book. I think of the book that they would travel with.
That's weird. Yeah, we did. We didn't have that.
A green book, not a green card, not the Beatles' White Album. It's the
green book.
Yeah, but anything written by An that the church still accepts is a truth book.
Right.
That's so ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
All right. One thing I wanted to ask Anthony about. Well, I don't even know if Lindsay even knows this, which I can't believe we've never talked about this before. Mother's teachings. Do you ever hear about Mother's teachings, Lindsay?
No.
I cannot believe this. There are 13 teachings that we followed. We had them posted everywhere. We had this big, huge, fancy like stone that we had carved out, very expensive, very fancy, with all of Mother's teachings. All the children remember them. We recite them sometimes during service. We recite them all the time. You don't remember these?
Are they books? What is that?
Okay, so in the back of I didn't even write new song. What's a new song?
It's the only thing Toni was allowed to listen to for 12 years.
Ding, ding, ding.
The only thing I heard in her car ever played, and I wanted to throw it out the window.
Oh, I didn't care for them.
I love them. I love the instrumental ones. I liked it.
You'd be like, this is God's music. I'm like, oh, so boring. Do you know how many good artists you're missing out on right now?
Okay. So,
sorry. Okay, hold
on. Quote unquote, Mother has 13 teachings that if we all follow, then the whole world is going to go to heaven, pretty much.
It's like the 10 Commandments?
That will be perfect, yes. It's like the New Age 10 Commandments in a way.
You guys know them? Can I hear them? Can you say them?
I don't. I feel like I might remember them.
Okay. I had a way to remember them, and I don't know if I still do because it's been like a little bit of time since I've actually cared about them.
But Anthony said they've changed them since I've been there. They've updated the words. So let's see.
Yeah. Okay. So what I hear is that the translation didn't really like work out the best the first time around, and then they've updated the way that they're worded, and they've kind of added some stuff. And like I think one like it talked about like having a mastermind. Do you remember the mind of a master?
That's what I know. Okay. What is it now?
I'd have to get my book. I had to get it. I had to look it up.
Hold on. Please hold on.
So are these like quick little commandments like they are in the Bible? Like be nice to each other.
Yeah, very close.
Everybody's leaving. And for the people at home, everybody walked away at the same time. They're all going to get their notes.
I don't know that I have them right here with me.
This is the Lindsey show. It's not the Toni show. This is my favorite show because it is my show. It's the Lindsey show.
Oh, all right. So
It's not
the
in
one
this
that I
new
was just
songbook.
talking about says, oh my God, that's the Ten Commandments. I'm like, what?
It is more blessed to give love than to receive, as God always gives love.
Okay, as God always gives love, giving love is more blessed than receiving love.
Oh, number 2. When we give glory to God, the glory returns to us.
Yeah, when we give glory to God, that glory will be ours in the end.
Oh my gosh, they changed them. Number 3.
They did change them.
Number
And they
3.
changed a lot of the lyrics of the songs, and it's so funny because they had like the worst people chosen to read because they didn't make it sound good. Like it didn't make it musical. They just did it like they just changed the words to the songs. Like one of them was written by an American who's like an opera singer, and they changed her words as if like they know anything better about music than her. Like and they had these people like they didn't even like some of them weren't even like English native speakers. And they're like, I don't know what to do. So they changed words around to these songs, and now like they're really difficult.
I'm gonna go get mine because I want to see my version really quick. Hold on.
Anthony, did you have a vision of what your heaven was going to look like?
My thought about heaven was more of I'm just gonna like have like a backpack and travel around and just go explore. Like
Star, like out in the universe? Is that how you imagine?
Yeah, I thought it was basically just gonna be like me spending a little bit of time here, a little bit of time there, kind of just checking things out, you know. And that was it. Like I just thought I was gonna like go visit people, and that was it.
I'm gonna travel.
Yeah, it was gonna be a lot of travel. But now I get to do that here.
A way to get to know people like at their core, because whatever your vision of heaven was is probably just what you should go do in life.
Right?
Maybe that's a good way to like figure out what you want to do next when you leave the church. Like what was your vision of heaven, and then just go do that.
Go live it. Yeah, go eat your artichokes and
here's your chance. Do it.
Here's your chance. Read your books. Eat your artichoke.
I didn't hear one word that you just said. So talking about mother's teachings?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's fine. Let's jump back to it.
Okay. So can I just kind of rattle some off that I remember, Anthony, and then you tell me what they are now?
Yeah.
I remember a beautiful, Lindsey, listen to these, okay? These are crazy. A beautiful mind has no hate and brings forth a perfect love.
Yeah. When we look at things beautifully without hatred in our hearts, we can achieve perfect love.
Huh.
Okay. So same idea.
Yeah, same idea, just new words.
Okay, listen to this one. This one was one of my favorites. As the sea receives all the dirt and purifies it, we should have a broad and beautiful mind enough to cover up the faults even of our brothers and sisters.
Okay, now you just jumped from number 3 to number 9. Which makes me think that you forgot some of these, Toni.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay, as the sea receives all the dirt and purifies it, we should have a broad and beautiful heart to embrace the faults of our brothers and sisters. But that was actually one of the things on my list. When I said number 9, sometimes you would say, oh, like, you know, if like, let's just say, you know, somebody made a mistake and you're like, oh yeah, like Deaconess Toni, you know, put too much salt in the food. It'd be like, oh, way to number 9, you know, like it would be like, way to cover my fault, way to like, you know, like cover for me. So when you basically like point out what someone else did wrong, it's like you didn't number 9. Yeah. Or like if someone did something like really messed up, like if they were like mean or rude and you didn't tell on them, you know, sometimes like your excuse would be like, oh, I was just trying to number 9.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So like you would like kind of fight through mother's teachings. So like you'd be like, brother, you really need to practice mother's teaching number 4 right now, or something like that, you know? So like, that's kind of how you correct each other. You live by these rules.
Oh yeah. Let me tell you a funny story about number 4. So here's number 4. Now, the new one. As Abraham received more blessings when he yielded to his nephew Lot, we too will receive more blessings when we yield to our brothers and sisters. Now, during COVID, most of the members had to keep home worship through Zoom. And when they had to keep home worship, we had to Zoom. So at the church, only a few of us could go because there was like a cap on how many. And I was asked, okay, it's you and this other brother, do you want to do for the feast, which is like 10 days, the morning or the evening announcing? Which means like you're the one who will be singing the new songs, the church hymns. You're going to be like, basically leading into the service and preparing everybody 15 minutes or so before the service begins. You're going to be up there just basically telling people, okay, we're going to sing this song, we're going to sing the song. And then you do like a prayer and things like that. So, so when they asked me, do you want to do the 5 a.m. or do you want to do the 7:30 p.m.? I thought about number 4. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do the 5 a.m., which means be like singing at 4:45 a.m. on Zoom, where they have just like my voice and maybe like a light piano. And I'm a terrible singer. Oh, it's bad. And all broadcasted all throughout the region was me singing. And members were complaining about it because of how bad it was. And they're like, oh yeah, do you remember when you announced? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, that was so funny. I was like, oh yeah. It sure was.
You're and like, I wasn't trying to be funny.
4:45 in the morning, already I'm a bad singer, but you add in the fact that like I'm barely awake.
Did you have to go to the church and do it from the church, or you did it from your house?
From the church.
Ah. Why? What would be the point of that?
I don't know. You had to go to the church, and from there they had the audio equipment, and I would just get up there and do the best I could. But the other one, he was in choir, and I chose the 5 a.m. I chose a 4:45 start time, and it was bad. And I did it because of teaching number 4.
I would love to see an audio clip of this.
It's like our thoughts were just in a big circle of like self-regulation and self-criticism and like self-sacrifice, and you know what I mean? And we didn't even realize that we're doing it, and we're using all these words, and it's wrong. It's all wrong.
It's all wrong.
But from today, we take it back. We're taking back our power.
Yeah, now when I say fragrance, it's talking about whatever cologne I'm wearing that day.
Right. And who says fragrance? Like, we would say fragrance on the regular basis. People don't say that word commonly.
Yeah, there's words. So, okay, how about feast, Lindsey?
Ooh,
if someone said to you, oh, we're going to go to a feast.
I'd be like, heck yeah. Chicken and potatoes. We're going to have a feast.
What about you, Toni? What would a feast mean to you?
Well, that's what I always thought of a feast until I met the WMSCOG. And then my mind was changed forever. I will never think of a feast in the same way.
Yes, you will. Today we're reversing it.
Now I will.
Yeah. Feast.
But even that's not a common word. We're never like, oh, let's go feast today. Do you know what I mean? We use it all the time at WMSCOG.
Going over to a feast.
Yeah. So and here's the weird thing is like the names didn't really make sense with the way that the church kept it. Like, okay, Passover was a feast, but like if you read like in the Bible, it's like after supper they had the bread and wine, but like they don't give us dinner. They just touch our feet and they don't even feed us. Like they wash your feet and then
that
they
sounds
give you
so weird, Anthony. Please clarify.
Anthony, something that I know about you is that you don't like feet.
No, I don't.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so
you had to wash feet.
I was a foot washer, and like my joke
Not
was
everybody.
what you're supposed to do this in like a really like contrite way, like a very humble way, and like wash their feet. And I was just like, can you imagine if I'm just like, well, I'm like supposedly washing their feet. So first you'd wash feet, and then you'd go and keep service, and then you'd have bread and wine for the feast of the Passover. But
And
like,
you do your offering. Don't forget the offering.
oh, of course. I mean, every feast you have to give money. It's like a great cash grab. So if you read like the actual, like, you know, in the scriptures, like Jesus and his apostles during that Passover, they finished eating a dinner together, and then they had this bread and wine. But, you know, for us, they just wash our feet. And it's like, look, if you're going to have someone wash your feet, you know, at least let them buy you dinner. And then, you know, so we'd celebrate the Passover with bread and wine. But what about unleavened bread, Lindsey? What would you think you would have as at the feast of unleavened bread?
I mean, so many dinner rolls with no yeast in them. I don't know what unleavened means.
I know, right? Nobody talks about that. Like, this is not normal.
But unleavened bread, actually, there is no bread. You actually starve yourself.
That's fasting. That's the day that you're fasting.
From midnight until after the 3 p.m. worship, so like until like maybe like 4:15, 4:30 in the afternoon, no food, no water, nothing. That's how you keep the feast. It's like the nerve to call it a feast. You know, yeah. You're right. You should be eating dinner rolls.
Yeah, I'm so hungry. Stop calling it a feast.
And then what about the feast of first fruit? What do you think you'd celebrate that feast with?
An apple.
You'd think you'd have some fruit, right?
Yeah.
No, you celebrate it with bread.
That's funny.
That is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's a little wacky.
If they were,
you know, it makes sense when you're in it.
If they were to ever cannibalize, then I would imagine they would do it at the feast of first fruit, because it would be like your first fruit, and then you eat
your firstborn, Toni.
Eat your first fruit that you brought into the church. That would be the feast. You would eat the fruit. That's where you would sacrifice them and say they're getting baptized, and then you would eat that fruit. See what I'm saying? This is a test, y'all. Don't sue us for defamation. I'm just kidding.
Bearing fruit, Lindsey.
Yeah.
Somebody bearing fruit. What do you think that means?
In the real world, I always thought of pregnant people bearing fruit. And in the WMSCOG is bringing in your cash money, bringing in your people to pay their tithes, because they're not considered a fruit until they start tithing, right?
Well, no, they are. They're a fruit from the moment they get baptized.
Okay.
But they become a talent once they are, you know, finishing their studies, tithing. And I think they have to go preach.
Okay.
So, like, you know, it takes a few more steps. What about a veil?
Oh, God.
Don't get her started on this one, Anthony.
I mean, that was the first beginning when Toni's veil reveal. That was when I was like, I don't really love this new weirdo church that you just started going to. But a veil, normally you think of a wedding and the little cute thing that sits on your head and it flows.
I never think of a wedding with a veil. From now on, I will. Every time I think of a veil, I'm only going to think of a woman and a bride.
Virgin bride being revealed to her husband so he can have her for the taking. That's what the veil is supposed to do.
When you're in WMSCOG, that is not what you think. You're like, a veil is a very stressful thing because you have to make sure you always have it with you, that you have enough for all the sisters, yada, yada, yada.
Well, what confused me about that is because they would say that you needed the veil whenever like a woman would preach or prophesy. Like whenever you were praying, like you would need the veil. But then like when they'd go preaching,
they don't.
When you go out, like you wouldn't put the veil on to go preach to people.
Could you imagine if they made you do that? Nobody would ever come.
Or if you put the veil on, like before you pray for your food, you don't. Like it's prayer is like you wear the veil sometimes, but not all the time. And it's very arbitrary the way that they pick and choose, like the way that you have to wear your veil. And me, I never had to worry about it.
Right. We always had to worry about it and like had to explain it so that we didn't look so weird when people came in to keep the service.
Yeah, but Anthony, aren't there rules about facial hair?
No. Yes and no. There's peer pressure about facial hair.
Oh, okay. But not like a dead stop, like why do you have a beard?
Yeah, there were rules for like announcing and like having different functions. You couldn't have the facial hair.
Okay.
But just in general, like, they would discourage it. They didn't like it. They didn't think it looked good. And I think maybe because it wasn't commonplace in Korea, it's just like not really something that they have over there too often. So I don't know if they have something against it because it's like a Korean cult and they're just used to the Korean face. But
is there anything about women cutting their hair? Because I know that's like around the same. It's in the Bible. I don't know if it's Old Testament or New Testament.
I've seen some women shamed about their hair, but that was it. Like I didn't like, there were women with short hair and like there was nothing really said to them.
Okay.
Especially if they were, as you have now learned, a lawkeeper.
Mm.
They're not going to be told about that. But if you're a leader, like there's this one female deaconess I had known who she would wear a wig. Like, that was just like she would wear it, I guess culturally, a wig. And all of a sudden, she was shamed for it by a new overseer. And then she all of a sudden started to come back to the church with like this really short hair because, she was shamed out of wearing like the wig. So, she did that for a while, but I think after a while, she's just like, you know what? And she put it back on.
Yeah.
I heard through like, I can't say firsthand because I didn't hear it, but I heard that the reason why she did it was because that she was told that it wasn't a good look for a deaconess and a church leader for her to have that. So she had to remove it.
Oh.
But, that's just what I had heard through
the grapevine.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, wow, what faith she has. Like she hates it, but look at her.
Overcome.
Yeah, exactly. Like what great faith she has. But in reality, it's just like she wasn't comfortable with that. She didn't want that. And like, what a jerk, to shame her about it. Like it's but who's gonna question him? Who's gonna question like an overseer? It's
right.
They have this like unlimited power that they love to abuse however they see fit.
Is an overseer right under a pastor, or is that an elder? Where does the overseer rank?
Actually, let's play the rank game.
Okay.
Lindsey.
Okay. This is fun. This is like a talk show. I love it.
Okay. I want you to take these titles and sort them from lowest to highest.
Okay, I'm gonna be good at this. I'm gonna be really good at it. Minus the overseer.
Deacon, pastor, member, missionary, elder.
Okay. Member, deacon, missionary, pastor. Oh, wait, elder.
Yes.
Pastor. And then where's the overseer?
Oh, that was titles.
Oh.
Now there are church rankings. Here's the next one. Here's the next one to sort out.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Member, church leader, overseer, team leader, group leader.
Is that not the order?
No.
Okay. Member, team leader, group leader.
Keep going.
Whatever the other one was, and then overseer.
Church leader, overseer. Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Boom.
Yeah, that's good. Member, team leader, group leader, church leader, overseer.
Okay, so the overseer is just, and then what's a quantineme? You guys.
Quantineme is it's like almost like a pastor, but it's like a female. It's like under a pastor, but it's like higher, like it's like almost like an elder. It's
I
like an
think it's
elder.
like the highest that a female can go, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it's above a deaconess?
yes.
Yes.
It's above a
deaconess,
missionary.
Missionary, Kwanzaa.
Okay. Is that a Korean word?
Many.
It is it's a Korean word, and then it was neem at the end of a word just means respect. So sometimes they would use like neem at the end of like people's names to show respect, like Mr. So it's like when they would say An Sang Hong Neem to give him respect. If you add neem at the end, it's a respect. So a lot of the titles would have neem at the end. So like for a Korean word for a deacon or deaconess was chipsanim. Did anyone call you that, Toni? Anyone ever call you? She's shaking her head. Yes.
Yeah, all the time. Gypsonym.
All right. So now,
what other games do we have? What's the next game?
The next game is also a word game, but it's about animals. Now, for this one, for the sake of time, I think I'm just gonna ask Toni to define them.
Ooh,
So
let's see.
Start with this one. Toni, what's a goat?
A goat is having split hooves, right?
Okay, but
is that what you're talking about? Oh, are you saying like between a goat and a sheep?
Yeah, sheep and goat.
A sheep and a goat. So I know you don't want to be a goat, right?
Yes.
You want to be a sheep.
Yeah. So the goat, they had this whole video that might have been after your time, but the goat basically always wanted to be in a high place and didn't listen. You know, it was very like rebellious. So even though it was considered a clean animal, which is what you wanted to be like a clean animal.
And that had to do with the split hooves, right?
Exactly.
And chew the cud.
Exactly.
Right.
Split hoof, chew the cud, clean animal. Goat was a clean animal, but even though there's a goat and a sheep, you wanted to be the sheep. You wanted to listen to your pastor. You wanted to obey. You wanted to, you know, be very docile. You didn't want to be.
Are sheep really blind? I always told people that sheep are blind, and that's why they have to listen for their shepherd's voice. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I used to tell people.
Not blind, but they definitely didn't have good eye vision, and they could hear really well. So that's why they could tell the difference between like.
They always make that spiritual, like we need to listen to Father's voice because we're spiritually blind and we need to hear his voice.
And it was a way that they scared people because like even though it's both clean animals, one of them, the Bible says, you know, like you want to be like, and the other one will be separated out. That's the goats. So if your personality, even though you're in the church, if you were rebellious at all, if you like weren't a docile sheep, that means that, you know, you're going to be separated out. There's a separation between the people of the world, the unclean animals, and the clean animals in the church. But even in the church, you're going to be separated from those in the church. So
even the gospel workers will be separated.
Exactly. The gospel workers, they're going to be split. So sheep and goat, you're both clean, you're both in the church, but even though you're in the church, you have to compete with everybody else to be the most like docile, obedient person in the church, not using your own mind like a goat, but being completely obedient to whatever your church leader, overseer says, based on whatever their rank is. You know, that's how you listen to people.
Yep.
What about a pig?
Ooh, a pig.
Did you study clean and unclean animals? Do you remember? Like,
it has been so long, but I'm remembering that a pig is an unclean animal.
Yes. They would use pig as a demon-possessed person.
Oh, that's right, because of how Jesus had to like cast away the demons from those pigs, and then they ran into the water.
So it was like, oh, pigs are figurative. So anyone in the world is a pig because they're possessed by demons. And that's why they say, like, you know, don't give your pearl to the pigs. Like, don't give something like the truth to somebody who's like demon possessed. And that's what they said homeless people were. A lot of the times homeless people were demon possessed. And that's why you shouldn't preach to them, is because they're pigs. spiritually pigs. And the same with dogs. Don't give what's sacred to the dogs. Dogs they call false prophets. So like if you find a false prophet or a demon-possessed person, don't preach to them. And it was their way to say if it's a pig or a dog, a demon-possessed person, or if, like a false preacher, meaning like anyone in a different church who really believed or knew the Bible, don't talk to them.
Toni, were you discouraged to talking to like grandma? Would that be like an example?
Was she a dog?
Really?
Was grandma a dog, Toni?
My grandma is not a dog. I don't care what the women.
Take the word back. Take the word back.
I'm taking it back. He's talking more like if I was out preaching and then I saw like a pastor of like the Presbyterian church, I don't want to go preach to him.
Oh, okay.
Right. Do you have birds on your list?
I have bird. The bird's the word.
The birds. What are the birds? The birds were really like, I really took that one to heart. I don't know why, but I always thought of birds as being really spiritual. And I always thought that birds were evil spirits. And so if a house had a lot of birds, we're like, nope, that has a lot of evil spirits there.
That's because your husband's afraid of birds. And so you guys probably
there's a lot of references in the Bible about birds, good and bad.
Yeah, because
there's a bird of prey. There's also the bird of prey.
Yeah, because a bird they say is Satan because, or like evil spirits, because once the seed of the word of God is sown, the birds will come and eat it up, and that's Satan taking away the words from the people's hearts.
Ooh. Yeah, there's like a parable about some seeds that were planted.
Oh, but yeah, because the bird takes it and poops it out. And there's some seeds that need the acid from the bird belly in order to grow the seed.
That is true. Maybe the bird's eating the seeds, or it's not that bad. It just spreads the crop.
Maybe. But yeah, that was a big thing that we
back, Lindsey.
The birds. We're taking it back.
Take it back. Birds are just cool as shit.
But there was the bird of prey, which is different from a regular bird. Because what does the bird of prey mean?
Bird of prey is God.
Korean Jesus.
Right. Bird of prey is like a strong, the Bible talks a lot about, God as like an eagle, right?
Well, it says that when God saved the Israelites from Egypt, he carried them on eagle's wings.
Right.
So the eagle represents God saving his people with Passover, but then later on they're like, so every time there's a bird of prey, it's talking about God saving his people. And then there was a parable, or not a parable, but there's a verse in Isaiah that spoke about like a bird of prey bringing salvation. And like, look, it's talking about the East at some point. It's Korean Jesus. The bird of prey is not regular Jesus, but it's a Korean Jesus.
Right.
That's the bird of prey.
That's very important.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hawks.
Hawks?
Yes.
I don't know hawks.
You don't know ox?
Oh, ox. I thought you said hawks. I'm like, doesn't that go with the birds?
We're
yeah.
off the birds.
Oh,
we're off the bird.
Ox, yes.
I don't know that one. I don't know any of these.
And an ox is the gospel worker.
Oh, so, strong.
Yeah, and so basically it's like don't muzzle the ox while it's plowing the field, and they use it as a gospel worker. It's in the field, it's working. And they say it's different. You could be a sheep or a goat, but if you're a sheep, you just listen. That's the law keeper. But an ox, like if you beat a sheep, the sheep is going to be like petrified. But if you beat an ox, it's just going to work harder. So that's why a gospel worker, you're supposed to beat them up and make them feel really bad and make them work really hard, is because they'll just, they're like an ox. They love it. They keep working.
They would always show us pictures of oxes working hard in the field, and we were supposed to be like that. Yeah.
But what about the red heifer? The red heifer is Zangilja.
Yeah, that had to be sacrificed every third day and seventh day, right?
Yeah. Which is crazy because when they say that if you touch a dead body, you need the water of cleansing. The water of cleansing comes from mutilating and like killing this red heifer. and taking the ashes and, spreading it through water. And that water, after you touch a dead body, 3 days later and then 7 days later, you have to wash in that water.
Is this from the Old Testament?
Yeah.
Old Testament.
Okay.
So they say that heifer is Zangiljah, and they say that the 7th day is Saturday and the 3rd day is Tuesday. But the verse actually speaks about the 3rd day since you touched a dead body. So if you touch a dead body on like Friday, then that means Saturday, Sunday, Monday you wash, and then on the 7th day you also wash. But they say, oh, it's every Tuesday, every Saturday.
Yeah, it's dependent on the day that you touch the dead body. Not
So they justified having service every Tuesday night.
That was their way to get you midweek as well, because you can't go a whole 7 days without going to the church as a lawkeeper.
Right.
They need you there often. They need to
continuously
repetitive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the red heifer. Okay.
Are there a lot of Old Testament things taken like that to explain?
When they wanted to, they'll take things from the Old Testament.
They don't discriminate between old and new.
And sometimes they'll just say, "Oh, it's spiritual now."
Ah.
So they'll say, "Okay, first off, can you imagine when they made that 3rd day thing up?"
No.
Can you imagine like when they were going to Zong and they were like, "Hey, by the way, we're saying that you're this red cow." You imagine her face.
That gets slaughtered.
That's you. And oh my, I feel like sometimes I feel a little bad about the way they describe her. They describe her as like a red cow, and sometimes they like in the new songs they say like she's disfigured, and like
right.
They do
From her sacrifice for us. Like we need to see what we're doing to her.
She's not disfigured, is she? In real life?
Spirit, like her, our sins are hurting her, according to them, but not really.
That's why she falls asleep when she's up at the altar. She falls asleep
because she's taking all of our sacrifices at that moment, and she's suffering.
No, she's like 90 years old. That's why she's falling asleep. She's so old.
You didn't know that. And then okay, I got one more of the animals, and then maybe we'll wrap it up. But I feel like this list could go on for like ever.
For sure.
Worms and maggots.
Worms and maggots. That's us, Lindsey. We are just worms and maggots living on this planet.
They would tell us that all the time. Even one of the new songs, we'd have to sing, "I'm just a worm."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you guys even in the church are, or me?
No, we are.
Everybody.
We're all maggots.
Yeah, and they say that like all human beings are worms and maggots, and what do worms and maggots live in? They live in poop.
Okay.
This earth that we're in, compared to heaven, is poop. But we don't know because we're just worms and maggots. So we think we're eating a delicious meal. But Zangiljah, she doesn't think she's eating a delicious meal because she remembers heaven. She remembers the reality, not the shadow. So when she's eating food with you, for her, it tastes like poop. She's down here eating poop.
Right. Like, Lindsey, they seriously say this. So then you're watching her eat. Like when you go to Korea and you're watching her eat the same food as you, people are sitting there crying. They can't even eat their own food because they're like, God is sitting here eating poop food. Like, I'm not kidding.
Look at her crying.
Right, Anthony?
Yeah. She's eating poop. She's eating poop for me. And we believe it. And we
we felt so sad that God did that for us. Like that made us feel so guilty that we didn't even want to eat our food.
I have a good last animal that I think we could wrap up on.
What?
Oh, what's the animal?
What's the church's take on frogs, Anthony?
Okay.
If you would like to share, okay, Anthony has a story that he has shared with us privately.
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable sharing it with publicly to the whole world, then that's totally fine.
I just want everyone to know that he has a very funny frog story, and one day, if not now, he'll tell us.
It just fits in
Okay,
so
I feel
perfectly
like
here.
other people, I feel like I'm not the only one with like frog stories and snake stories, but basically what I had witnessed so they had purchased a new location um, somewhere in New York, and they had a little pond. Like it was like like it wasn't huge, but it wasn't like tiny either. And when they had inherited it with the purchase, it was a complete wreck. It was like this disgusting, like, we'd go to it and there would be like snakes swimming up to us, and there's like frogs and all these nasty creatures. And the pastor was like, how in the world do the Mormons and the Jehovah Witnesses around the corner from us have beautiful, like, water scenery? And here we are, this is what we have. So constantly they'd have people drive from all over the place to go into this pond and swim to the bottom with buckets that you'd buy and scoop out muck from the bottom. But also part of the cleaning process was the annihilation of some animals that had it as their home, including frogs that they would kill. There was a wasp hive that they took a flamethrower to. We'd go there and there'd be snakes just like killed and their bodies hanging off the gate. Um, it was it was definitely like not PETA friendly, the way that they took care of cleaning this pond. And this is just what I had seen. And frogs were included with this extinction of whatever was there, as well as a lot of turtles. There was a lot of snapping turtles inside.
Why do
I
you
mean,
think they were slaughtering all these little defenseless animals?
they didn't want these particular animals in their pond.
Because of the Bible, do you think?
The frogs in Revelation represented like false prophets. So they said that these frogs, they kill them like they're false prophets. And they'd go around and they'd murder the frogs and kill the snakes, which obviously there's a biblical meaning within. So they would just do it. Like they would just destroy these like animals that had lived there. And then, I mean, I'll tell you the truth, it looks good. It looks a lot better.
It looks good now. It looks good now.
Yeah. There's a lot of blood on the hands, but it's
That's
it's
awful.
Yeah, so frogs are the false prophets, and when they saw real frogs, they went on a murder spree.
That is so sad. And what did the turtles ever do? There's no reference to turtles in the Bible.
No.
I'm so sorry, Anthony. That must have been traumatizing because I know that you're an animal lover. And so that must have been hard. Like, really, you have to dissociate from your real identity to be able to witness those kinds of things, right?
I mean, I feel like after I gave up my dog for the church, I was able to build kind of like an emotional wall for a while. But yeah, no, it was definitely like bizarre to see. If anything, it was bizarre. It was just like it was weird to see this at a church. And like, I think that the members were very they're so repressed with entertainment that I guess they were able to, use this as a way to get out there and burn a little steam.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. This one off.
We ended it on comedy, guys.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so unbelievable.
Yeah, it's and I'd say like ultimately though, for me, for the words that we choose and the words that we use, that was like one of the first things. And that whenever I speak to somebody who just left, that's one of the things I tell them, like, try to do this. Really just try to take the words back. Don't say, Christ an sang hong. It is an sang hong, which is crazy because I never knew that the acronym for Christ Ansong Hong was CASH.
Oh, snap.
And then
That's
that would make the red heifer the cash cow. So
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I love that.
Oh man.
but it's I would say that it's really a big part of the healing is to realize that your reality was built by this group and you need to reclaim your reality, and a big part of that is to get your words back. So to see like this endless, I have so many more that I didn't even cross off the list of terminologies that they hijacked out of our language to mean something else. Now it feels really good to be able to get back to reality.
Without going into too much details, just say the list.
Oh, okay. Sword. Water, meaning the world. Water, meaning of life, meaning eternal life, or water, meaning of cleansing. Holy material. Satan. Contribution. Nicodemus. Physical. Book of life. Family. Latter rain. Most holy place. And then I had a list of Korean terms that like we'd have to say in the church as well. What about nay? Someone's like, nay, can you do this? Nay. What does nay mean to you?
No.
Wrong. No. Nay is Korean for yes.
What?
There was one story I heard where this Korean member, the person I think in Germany and the person said nay. Like, oh, do you want to come to the church? Nay. And you're like, no. And then they're like, oh, great, come on. And they're like, nay. And they're like, okay, now come. Like, he said nay, let's go. And it was like this confusing back and forth. But the person, even though they kept on saying no, they thought they were saying yes in Korean. So the person ended up going to the church because it was just an awkward situation. They didn't know like why this person kept on like hearing no, but being like, you said yes, come on. Shamoke Samida, which I hope I'm pronouncing these correctly.
No idea.
Toni? You wouldn't say Shamoke Samida before you ate?
Does that mean enjoy your meal?
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy this food.
Enjoy your meal. We would say something like
enjoy poop. Maggots.
Yeah, enjoy your poop food, maggots.
That's what that meant.
Okay, Toni, you have to have some too.
Yeah. I mean, we would always say like kamsamnida, saranghamnida.
Yeah, that means thank you, and the next one, saranghamnida, is I love you.
Mm-hmm.
When you guys how long until you stopped feeling really awkward saying these?
I always felt awkward saying those.
Me too.
Did you ever get over that feeling of like I'm saying this one word in another language?
Some people fully embraced it and like wanted to fully study Korean.
I go.
Yeah, I go. Chamalo.
I go means like, oh my, like,
yeah.
It means that. So like whenever like something would happen, like it was misfortunate, you'd be like, I go. That one I liked. I'll keep that one. I'm taking it back.
Taking it back. Now we have some new memories of baby prostitutes, so we don't have to think about those old baby prostitutes.
I'm not taking that one back.
Okay.
Baby prostitutes.
That's
you
fair.
Can take that one, Church of God.
That's fair.
I'm taking fragrance. I'm taking a lot of these back. You don't own them anymore.
That's right. That's right.
Now mother means my mom.
Right. Even the word mother, like,
oh yeah.
I can't like I just say, but
mommy.
But yeah, but see, I always call my mom. Mother it's so formal that it's like we never really used it anyway, so I erased it out. And
I'm gonna make a new one. Yeah. Mother lovers. That means anybody in the Church of God. That's from now on. That's what I'm gonna refer to them as.
I love
the mother lovers.
They'll actually like that. They'll like that one.
Yeah, I know. So everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
I like that. Mother lovers.
Hey, mother lovers, come on and talk to us. We would love to talk to you. We want to have you on. We want to ask you what you guys think about this podcast. So we know you're listening. Come on.
Yeah,
Right?
and look,
I don't know if they're listening. I just
Well,
cannot imagine.
Somebody
anyone.
has to be listening. And I want to talk to you. I miss you. I want to tell you what I've been learning. You tell me what you've been learning. Let's have an open debate, right?
yeah,
we
let's
would
have
nice-
words.
Let's
have
use words.
Nice to them.
Let's use real vocabulary. You know what, though? I'm not even kidding. I like to have a thesaurus by me. I like to have a dictionary because I need to find words again. Like so many words were lost because our vocabulary, not only was it different, but it was so limited. We could only think about certain things. And so now I really want to focus on expanding my vocabulary, right?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
You know, the more words you have to describe things, it's like almost like you could view things even more clearly.
Right.
Because now you're able to describe them more accurate.
Right.
So good, I like it. Let's do that. Let's sign up for a word of the day app.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it.
Let's grow our horizons. But how are we going to end this one?
You know how we end it?
All right, everybody. I'm taking this one.
Okay.
This is another one, mother lovers. Boom, baby.